G'day, 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 Mathematical KM. Remember their initials, not a title. Keith Malumbi. Okay, it's not the year of the hippo, or is it? Solomon Riddell is, and I'll try to put a link in the description. Not that he's put it out yet, but this year he has promised a part 2 to his hippo course. So we're going to stick with the hippo with the black pieces and muck around with a few different things with the white pieces. There's an aggressive E4 course he's bringing out soon, and I've got Simon Williams Grandmaster Gambits with E4. So that's something I'm not used to. But last night, and sorry for the video with no sound, some technical difficulties, but here we go. I believe we are recording my voice this time round. And it was round 1 in the Tuggeranong local club. And I am weighing in at 14:30 and playing Will Knight, who had a very good night in this game. 1702, so what's that? 260 odd uphill. And I decided to build a wall with my hippo of the stone variety. And he threw me out of the small amount of theory that I have quite early in the piece, so we'll see how the game goes. So, one thing that I've learned, and this is mostly from watching the Chess Bra, GM Aman Hamilton's series, is when they are looking to support their own E5, needs must play F4. Played. Okay, now he's looking to... If he can bring that knight in there and then play F5, it's going to be a stone wall versus a stone wall, which nobody wants. Or do they? There will be a little bit, if you watched all of the soundless video, you'll note there's some additions to this video. But I've gone, and this is again one of Aman's moves. We get your bishop out before they can. And you're looking to get a bishop and a knight. You want 2 pieces so that they can't stick their knight in. You'll destroy it. But he's come in early. What to do? In a few moments we'll take a look at what I did do, and you can see it's still 0.2 to white. And we'll see how last night went. But let's just jump across. Another resource, first strike, the fighting stonewall attack. This is on Chessable. Less than 10% or 1 chapter. I guess this is the equivalent. As a teacher librarian, we should be fine with just a little bit of 1 line. This is the situation. Let's just make totally sure of that. Yep, totally exactly the same position. And do I take, do I not take? If I don't take it with the bishop, then he can slam in F5, and then it's a stonewall versus a stonewall. Then let's take a little bit of a look at what the first strike course is recommending. We bring out the knight, and now anything other than F5, and we'll go into the normal plan of just taking the knight. He takes back with the pawn, we take the pawn. But of course, they're more than likely, okay, they've got a stonewall. So we bring out our knight that's destined for E5, where we want to put it. He supports his pawns. We castle. He brings his bishop developed, allowing himself to castle. And now we both have a strong knight in the centre. This looks pretty symmetrical. Yes, it does, which is not what I was looking for. Even more so now, in terms of symmetricality. We had to get rid of his knight at some point. We take it. He takes with the pawn that gives him a half-open file for his rook. We move the bishop away from the pawn, and with plans to follow of our bishop can attack it's defended by a bishop, but we can attack the g4, bishop to g4 and attacking the weak e6. We can also play c4 in the future to target black's centre. If our knight gets captured, we typically take with our f-pawn, and then there's all sorts of shenanigans. Fully open file with 2 loaded rooks, 1 on each side. So that's kind of where theory would have sent me. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, didn't. But again, first time out with a new opening. Felt very different from playing a hippo. So what did I do? Well, I was thinking I don't want my opponent to have a stonewall. So I've taken. He takes back. And this is a side edge to black already. This was not the way to go. It sounds like I had to, woulda, coulda, shoulda, needed to accept a stonewall versus a stonewall. But he's got doubled pawns. I've got a little, almost like a Botvinnik grip style of a cupola of pawns. And I'm thinking, number one, this is going to set me up for castling. Number two, I can get 2 knights, both of which can be attacking that pawn, which I would like to kill that pawn before this game is over. I think I do achieve that life goal. But if that pawn comes out, even if I've moved a knight to g3, it can't initially go because that pawn will be protected by his light bishop. But let's get that out, ready to castle. Okay, so I can't take my knight here, not if I like my queen. So let's invite that bishop. If it pulls back and keeps the pin, I'd almost be tempted with g4. Very advanced pawn structure, which is in front of where my king is, which is, in terms of already king safety, you can see this is, instead of exactly symmetrical, as we saw in the line, in the course, I'm sending forth the troupies, and if they win, great, but if not, my king's in a bit of trouble. But he's decided that he doesn't like what that knight could do and become involved with, so he's taken off the board. Obviously we take back with the queen. We're looking pretty much even Steven in terms of the game at this point. 8 moves in. Okay, the pawn comes 1 forward, I'm guessing mostly to release the dark bishop for a kingside castle, which makes perfect sense in terms of king safety, especially when looking at mine. But we've castled, even if we do have some weaknesses. It does activate the rook. I can send the f-pawn forward maybe. Ideas. I cannot send the f-pawn forward. And doubled pawns can actually be not that bad when you've got a nice little setup like this. If at all possible, do note that that e6 pawn is hanging, not that there's anything even looking like threatening it at the minute. Okay, so we finish our standard stonewall pawn structure. Which also kept that knight from coming in. But his queen comes in. And minus more than half a pawn to black here. Now, I was initially thinking on... it can't actually do anything yet. He might be thinking along... Well, not that. But... his queen could actually sneak into here. I don't see too much more that it could do, but offer to get the queens off. And in fact, let's see, what is best? Queen to c4. Oh, that's interesting, because that is what I played. Because again, that is a hanging pawn. Anything there, and then the knight would be hanging. And if nothing else, this queen is the only piece, other than the king, that can give some protection to the e6 pawn. I was kind of hoping he'd protect it with his king and losing his chance for king safety. But he didn't. He's protected it with his queen. Fair enough. But it has, in a way, I've got him to pull his queen out of its attack, not by confronting it, but by attacking something it left behind, a weakness. So we're still travelling along at this minus 0.6 sort of a... And I was feeling... Now that was a mistake, and have a look straight down to minus 2. So this is a point in time where new opening, what would have been better? I see b4, it's far and away. Followed by a4 and then a5. So b4, a4, a5. Keep those pawns coming all the way across. That is kind of interesting, and keeping the quite the Maginot line that it's asking. But I thought, let's have a crack at that. And if it does take, I can take back. And my queen is stopping the king from castling. Either way, of course, that rook can come across and make my queen move out of the way, so it's not that wonderful. But his king's still in the middle for now, and he's lost one of his central pawns. Now, why would he do that? I think it's as much as anything as to deny queen to b5 check should he decide to move his knight. That's what I was kind of thinking. Bit of an inaccuracy for Will. But this is Will Knight's champion knight right there. And right now, and I did contemplate it, I was even thinking about, it's a bit slow, but 3 moves to get the knight to in and help. Knight to d2, b4, or knight to a3, which can also end up at the same place. But developing, too many pieces not developed. But I thought I would try and distract this pawn so I could take with check. And after he moved his king or blocked, I'd then take that one back. That was the plan. But he found an excellent move in the position. And you can see that f takes g4, his second best move, is taking it from minus 2.3 to minus 0.9. So good plan. Unfortunately, he found the best move in the position, g6. So well done. And it is a great move. Not from my point of view, but well done, Will. Okay. So now, what's going to happen? Bit worried about what's going over here, and I was thinking purely from a king safety sort of a point of view, that g pawn forward gets tempo on the queen, and you know, there it will be It's not directly in front of my king, but some level of safety. So I've played it. And if you think about where his queen can go, a lot of the squares are asking for a trade. If he goes here or here, it's safe, and the manoeuvring goes on. I'll try and start developing. Really got to do something about that bishop. I've got the wrong bishop for the colour complex of my pawns and his pawns. So at around this point, I'm starting to think about how am I going to get rid of the dark bishop, which whilst it is a valid goal, well, we'll see. Got to think it all the way through. But for now, okay, what am I going to do? Basically, in my face, he doesn't like my queen being that close to his king, and you can see that by a whole point, queen's off is the only choice. And I've worked that much out myself. Now, small plan, pawn, bishop, trade, or trade which develops the knight and connects the rooks. That's the little mini plan. As far as it goes, with the black rooks where they are now, it's actually quite a good plan. So, stage one, he castles, and it's at this point I truly, even though bishop to a3 is still best, but that rook to here, I'd have the base of this pawn chain and this one on its own. It'll be very difficult to deal with. So before moving the bishop out there, something like rook there, or even as we're headed, maybe with a few more swaps, a bit closer to an endgame. King to f2, which isn't even in the list of things there, to protect this. And the knight covers that entry square for the for his rook, so I can't come in and give a check, and the king's protecting that one. I think any of those ideas would have been better than, I think it's weird it's the best, but I've launched the little plan. Second best for black is to take the bishops off, as you can see there, and he goes, I go, and now I've got the problem. And for all of mine, I think I should have, that would get that one out of the way, the king there. Any number of things I could have done beforehand. Even fianchettoed my dark bishop here and gone with that one, threatening his other rook. But this is the problem that kills me. What are we, 20 moves in, and that little 3-move plan without looking at the consequences, not much I can do. And I will mention that knight to c2, where it can't get hassled by a pawn, and we'll be protecting this one. Only giving up this pawn, if I've got to give up a pawn, giving up the c pawn, and then getting some protection in for the e pawn with that knight, that would have been better. And quite inaccuracy is very true. Because that was the move to play. That was best. That was excellent, but still bad because he'll come in and snatch it. It's a great move. Really no other choice. Now my only hope is my little e-pawn, and it's going to be hard to protect him all the way through. Whereas black's obvious, and sometimes the simple things in life are often the best. Black's plan is just kill a bunch of pawns and then win with them. I have to get a rook to try and help this pawn. He snaffles up another one. Okay, rook to help the pawn. That is good. I thought about maybe another rook here, but I think it ends up being even worse. So, and you can see the best I can do is rook times d3. He takes. I've got to do something about that pawn. He protects. I start to try and get my king. My king can't get far enough forward to protect my pawn. Everything's not quite what we want. c4. He takes. I guess I can. It's just starting to really be not good. But so I have a little bit longer. Just doing what I can. And unfortunately, pawn was too far advanced. Nice endgame technique, and at this point, can't stop. So, beaten in an endgame from a late middle game plan that wasn't thought all the way through, but also more than that, early, towards the end of the opening, having gone back to the drawing board and the Stonewall course, I should have allowed black their Stonewall and my Stonewall with us a move ahead in the Stonewall. So let's just have a quick look at the review before we wrap this one up. Played at 82% with a new opening against a player 260 odd points up. He played at 91. Well done. I don't believe that for a second. 2050 or 20. But 92% for the actual opening. Outplayed him in the opening, if you believe it. How far into the game is the opening? Then 70 versus 88, 83, 94. Very tidy in-game play there by Will. And so that's the first of there's going to be some crazy games, particularly with the white pieces this year. And it's the second year of the Hippo with the black pieces, given Solomon's bringing out that new course. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this first video of 2026, and I'll see you after the next one. And